Welcome to Wanda in the Way. I'm Wanda, and I was going to do this I'll admit I had written a script and wanted everything to be perfect, and then I realized that's not me. I am nothing if not real, so I can't be perfect. All I can be is me, and I want to share more than anything. I have one desire, and that is to tell people what God did. I want to tell people how I was rescued. More than anything, that's what I want to do. And the crazy part is, there was once a time when God told me I would do that, and it scared me so bad, terrified me. I actually said to God, no, I won't. And He said, you will. And what I didn't know back then is that He was able to cause me, to bring me to such a place in Him that it would be the thing that I wanted to do more than anything in the world. So let's start by telling you the beginning, what it was like when I first came to God. I was so broken. I was on the verge of suicide. I had grown up horribly abused. I have two brothers. We were all horribly abused with a single mom, and then later a stepdad. But when you grow up like that, and you're that, when I say horribly abused, if we made it a week without a beating, then that would have been a miracle. If we didn't hear every other day that we were stupid, ugly, worthless, a waste of human flesh, we heard those words all the time. So when I say I grew up horribly abused, that's what I mean. And when you grow up like that, and then you think, someday I'm going to be a grown up, I'm going to be a big person, and then everything's going to be okay. You think surely, you'll be in charge. Nobody's going to be doing that to you, so everything will be okay. And then you grow up and you find that no matter how old you get, you can't get away from that child that is still inside of you. All those wounds are still there, no matter how good everything looks on the outside. I went to school, and after childhood, after high school, dropping out, I went back to school as an adult, married, got straight A's. And still in my mind, I was stupid, ugly, and worthless. And my husband was not the warmest, not the most loving. And I was so starved for love because I just had never had that. I don't remember ever being told by anyone they were proud of me, that I did a good job, or, people would tell me I was pretty when I was a little girl, and my mom would stop them and say she's going to get a big head. And then she would make sure to tell me, I've been sent to our bedroom because I was told I was too ugly to even be seen. So it was horrendous, and that led to being an adult, married in a marriage that was so cold. And I started having flashbacks. And flashbacks, they're not like memories. Flashbacks are reality. In a memory, you think of something and you can choose to no longer think about it. It may keep coming to your mind, but still it's a memory. Whereas a flashback is something that's almost like, it's the difference between someone knocking at your door and you opening the door to let them in, and someone busting down your door and coming in on you. That's what a flashback is like. So the memories would come, and it was always the same one of being 7 years old in that house, and the first beating, and I'm being beaten down. And in a flashback, you're not remembering that. In a flashback, you are there, and it's happening all over again. You smell the same smells. You feel the pain. You feel the fear. Everything is so real. And then I think that's why they call it a flash, because it would flash and I was there, and I don't even know how long I would be there. And then I would be back in my home sitting on my sofa as an adult. But then it kept happening, and it kept happening, and it would happen when I least expected it. And I became so afraid. What if it happened and I stayed there? What if I couldn't get out? What if I was stuck there forever, reliving that pain and that fear all over again? And I was at the verge of suicide. I didn't really realize how close I was until later, after my rescue, and God showed me I was so close to suicide. Because what I did, I started hardening myself, because I tried not to feel anything. But let me warn you, when you harden yourself because you don't want to feel anything bad, you also stop feeling anything good. And from there, suicide is easy, because you're not feeling, oh my gosh, how am I going to leave my children? You just think everybody would be better off. You know, not just you, but everybody would be better off, because you feel so already dead. And it's weird that feeling nothing can hurt so bad. It is a trick from Satan. I'm telling you, he morphs into this big fluffy blanket and promises you the most incredible rest. But it's a lie, because your family would absolutely miss you. Your children would be devastated. I mean, it's such a lie. So there I was in that place, sitting on my sofa, watching TV, folding the clothes, going through the motions, feeling dead, feeling like no hope. I would never be loved. I mean, I had become a grown-up, and I still didn't have love. And I still hated myself. I did. I hated myself, because I thought, what must be so horribly wrong with me to cause people who were supposed to love me to mistreat me so badly and to not love me? What a lie again. I was asking what was wrong with me, but what I should have been asking is what's wrong with them, because that's where the issue lies. If someone doesn't love you, all humans are worthy of love. And if someone doesn't love you, it's not because of you. Something's wrong with them. But it would be years before I learned that. But that day, sitting on the sofa, folding my laundry, and Oprah was on. And so she was talking about meditating. And she talked about how much she really loved meditating. She said it felt so good that she even had her staff meditating. She said, I just open my arms and say, dear God, please come sit in my heart. And so I did that. I just opened my arms and said, dear God, please come sit in my heart. And suddenly, where I had felt so dead, I suddenly felt something. And I just hurried up. I don't even know why. I just said, oh God, I know that Jesus is your son and he died for me, and I want to love you. Even if you don't love me, it's okay. I don't need a lot. And then before I could even finish the word lot, it was like he picked me up in his hand and he breathed on me, and all kinds of heaviness fell off of me. Whew, I felt so good. It was like walking out of this violent storm, and suddenly it stops. The storm stops, and the clouds break, and there's sunshine and blue skies, and I felt so good. So good. I was rescued. Never had another flashback ever. And that was, gosh, 30 years ago? Wow. Never had another flashback. And so, here I am bebopping along through my day. It didn't matter if my husband didn't love me. It did matter, but it wasn't fatal anymore. Nothing was fatal anymore, because I had found this love that one day I was hanging clothes in the closet. That's all. It sounds so crazy. I was raised up on my tiptoe to hit that top rack there, to hang, and all of a sudden it just felt like rain, like liquid sunshine just poured, not just over me, but through me. Yeah, it was like taking a bath in sunshine, and I realized it was love. Oh my gosh, I felt love. It was so wonderful. And then I kept having this thought that would go through my mind. And it was this thought that, well, I just kept imagining myself on television talking about what had happened to me. The problem with that was I never, ever talked about what had happened to me, ever. I would have rather, gosh, the shame. I think I would have probably faced a firing squad before I talked about what happened to me, because those things that happened to me is what caused me to hate me. It made me think, like I said earlier, what's wrong with me that would cause people to do those things? And there's so much that was done. And I thought, I'm not gonna go on television and talk about that. And it's weird because I'm going through my day, cleaning, washing the dishes, whatever. And I'm suddenly imagining in my mind, here I am on television talking about what happened to me. And I kept thinking, I'd push it away, and I'm like, wait a minute, I would never do that. And then I realized, oh my gosh, that was God. That's why I kept thinking about it. That was God. And he was showing me what I would do. And it scared me because I said, no, I won't. And he said, you will. And then he said something else that I don't share because it's just between him and I. But he said, you will. Okay. At that point, it's early in my walk, early in the game, right? Why would he tell me something like that could cause me to completely walk away from him and give up? I'm done. Well, I'm just not going to do it. But I knew what life was like without him. I had been beaten down so much. And it's like the disciples, Peter told him, where else would we go? When he asked them, hey, everybody else had left. If you want to leave too. And Peter said, where else would we go? You, oh Lord, have the words of life. And I'm telling you, he does. He does. Stick with him. Because as afraid as I was, I had nowhere else to go. I had nowhere else to go. Nowhere else had I ever felt so loved. So that is how God scared me, because I was so full of shame over what had been done to me that there was no way I was going to talk about it. And little did I know that he was able to cause me to remove that shame so completely that I could easily talk about it. I can talk about it as easily as I can tell you that I had a peanut butter sandwich yesterday for lunch. It's that easy, because their sin is no longer my shame. I'm free. And I know that is what God wants to do for you too. So, this is Wanda in the way. Why is it Wanda in the way? Because he says in the book of John, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And in another chapter in John, he says, abide in me, and I will in you. So, I'm Wanda in the way, and that's exactly where I'm going to stay. And my prayer is that you will join me. Stay tuned next time and we will talk about more.